The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Well, it sounds like we've got Jason Marks on the line from the county attorney's office. Jason, how are you doing, sir?
Just fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. So tell us what's going on at your office this week.
Well, we had actually a pretty busy week. We had a trial that ended in a conviction earlier this week. The defendant was Eric Nugent, and he was charged with a number of felony offenses related to providing drugs to teenage girls and sexually abusing them. And we filed 13 new felonies this week, a number of methamphetamine cases, and unfortunately a number of violent crimes, including a couple of very serious domestic violence incidents. Of maybe particular interest, we also charged the individual who fired a pistol into a car outside of the Corso Apartments off of Russell. That investigation by the Missoula City Police Department had gone on for a couple weeks, and they were able to identify the shooter, and we have an active arrest warrant at this time.
Oh, wow. Is that the case where there was a 17-year-old girl involved with another man that
Correct.
Okay. But
Yep.
this is another person that was involved that the police are now, they have a warrant out for?
That's correct. We charged Ian Fiorino with attempted deliberate homicide on Monday, and there's currently an active warrant for his arrest.
Wow, this story just gets crazier and crazier. Well, when it comes to your office, so a total of 17 altogether felonies processed this week? Or
13.
Oh, 13. It sounds like it'd be easy, but with such high-profile cases, I can imagine it's probably pretty difficult.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of these cases have a lot involved, and it can be, frankly, just quite time-consuming to go through reports and organize for charging.
But it's probably better than dealing with 21 cases like last week.
Yes, better than that.
I don't want to rain on your parade, but
I know. We had a couple slow weeks there, and then it's really been going.
Well, maybe the warmer temperatures will get people to calm down and stop committing crimes for you, so you can take a week off next week. We'll see.
Well, we can always hope. I would like a week with nothing to charge.
That'd be great. All right. Well, hey, thanks for calling in, Jason. You have a great day. Have a safe weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. We've got guests in studio. We've got Dr. Albert Olszewski. He would be at the legislative session today, but he got a special dispensation to come down to talk back and talk to us a little bit, not necessarily about what's going on at this Montana State Legislature, but what he would like to do at the Senate, the big one, the federal legislative department where John Tester currently sits. So we'll talk about that coming up at the right after this quick break when we get back.
For Congress, there's a clear choice on the Second Amendment. After reviewing the candidates' records, the NRA says Greg Gianforte is the one we can trust. Gianforte is a Montana sportsman who'll defend our access to public lands and protect our right to defend our families and our property. Greg Gianforte, endorsed by the NRA. And Rob Quist? Quist is F-rated by the NRA. He says he's a hunter, but FWP has no records of Quist having a Montana hunting or fishing license. Quist wants to create a national gun registry, a plan backed by Nancy Pelosi that'll make it easier for federal bureaucrats to take our guns. And Quist will vote for more federal overreach, threatening our access to public lands. Rob Quist doesn't tell the truth, doesn't support the Second Amendment, doesn't have Montana values.
I'm Greg Gianforte, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Greg for Montana.
Great deals are in store at Bob Ward Sports and Outdoors. Spring sports are heating up and the gear is arriving daily. Save on the brands you love for baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse, and more.
Heading into the woods for early season camping and hiking just got warmer with new rain gear, insulated jackets, and waterproof boots. See all that spring will bring at Bob Ward Sports and Outdoors.
Bob Ward Sports and Outdoors, Montana style, celebrating 100 years of outfitting Montanans.
For over 40 years, Blue Mountain Clinic has been Missoula's first choice for individualized choice-based healthcare. On May 4th at 6 p.m., the Missoula Community Foundation kicks off Missoula Gives, a powerful 24-hour giving event. This is your opportunity to ensure continued access to independent, homegrown care to all our community members by helping us reach our goal of $10,000. For more information on how to give, please visit MissoulaGives.org. Blue Mountain Clinic, healthcare for the whole body, designed for everybody. BlueMountainClinic.org.
Okay, yep, we're back on the Talkback Show, and we're talking. We'll be talking with you if you want to. Give us a call at 721-1290. We're talking with with Dr. Albert Olszewski. He's a legislator, as you might have guessed, a doctor. Maybe you should just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and why you're deciding to run for U.S. Senate.
Boy, John, hey, thanks for having me here this morning. Yeah, I'm a citizen legislator or a physician legislator. I'm the only doctor in the House last session and the only doctor in the Senate and the Montana State Legislature this year. What's
what
driving?
Kind of doctor are you?
Hopefully a good one.
Is that not like Dr. Ruth, Dr. I mean, what does Dr. Al specialize in?
Dr. Al is an orthopedic surgeon. I've been an independent orthopedic surgeon up in Kalispell, Montana, for the last 20 years. I work for Flathead Orthopedics. We're the largest independent physician's practice in Northwest Montana.
Okay, gotcha. And you've been doing the Montana legislative thing. That sounds like a lot of fun, but you decided to up your game a little bit and go for the Senate.
That's right. So, yeah, why did I even get into the legislature? Well, first of all, I love my job as a professional doctor. I mean, to sit in front of patients and to care for them. I mean, I'm driven by my core value of taking care of and serving our brothers and sisters, especially those that are suffering. Because of that, I went into medicine. I learned that through all my training, it's the patient first. It's everything about the patient. And when I got out of the military and came back to Montana, got to set up in the beautiful Flathead Valley. And it was a great practice, it still is, but it was all about the patient. Mm-hmm. But what I've seen over the last decade is the government has gone from being the payer for a small percentage to a large percentage, and now they're saying they're the customer and that the patient in front of me is merely their client. So my patients have become frustrated because all of a sudden now there's a computer between us. Now I'm paying more attention to the computer than I am to the patient. And that's just, it's like being a distracted doctor. And just literally frustrated by the process of regulations coming in and forcing my patients to get less service as I pay more attention and give more service to the government.
So you got into the legislature because of the intrusion of legislation into your own career path? Is that kind of a good summary?
Yeah, I think that you hit it right on the head. I became very frustrated as I voiced my frustration at home one night over a dinner. And what happened is we brought in electronic medical records. That day I saw less patients.
Did you bring them to dinner too? Is that where?
I should have. I was 3 hours late for dinner. I sat around the table with my family that was patient to wait. And one of the rare things I did is I unleashed on my family about the frustrations of dealing with just the regulations. And one of my sons in high school said that magic word that I've always given to my kids, and that's, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So I was challenged by my own family, and with that, I decided to go from an advocate for healthcare policy to a legislator of healthcare policy.
So your son kind of pushed you into it.
Well, I would say that he motivated me with those magic words that we use when...
What are you going to do about it?
Exactly. Yeah. So here I am.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, let's start with some phone calls. I apologize to the Facebook Live listeners. If you can't hear the phone calls, I haven't quite jumped that technological hurdle. I do have a pair of headphones set up to my cell phone, so hopefully you can hear there. But if not, you can just tune into the internet and hear it live anyway. All right, so here goes. We're going to try Mike on the line. Mike, thanks for calling in, sir. You're on the air.
Yeah, first I got to say a great big thank you to your guests on there, because I have noticed, I've seen this started in Seattle with computers, You go to a doctor's office, they spend half their time talking to a damn computer or playing with it, whatever the case may be. So I want to say thank you, and I've been called a little bit crazy for saying this is one of the quickest things we can get rid of it, have the doctor talk to the patient instead of playing with a computer.
Do you actually, I mean, have you ever played solitaire through a consult? Or
no, I don't even know how to turn
a minesweeper guy.
I don't even know how to turn a computer on, so. All I know is I watched this in Seattle, all the nurses, when instead of doing their nursing job, spent the time on the computer. I have been to doctors since then, VA and otherwise. Oh, they got to spend 5 minutes messing with that damn fool computer instead of talking to the patient who's got a sore toe.
All right, Mike. Thanks for your call, sir. All right. Well, there you go. You got one person thankful that you're out there to rid the world of the evil robots.
Well, you know, John, it's I don't think it's a battle of the robots. I mean, the problem is that through good intentions, I believe that the federal government has said, you know, we're trying to find out how we give good quality medical treatment to the people of Montana as well as of the United States. The problem is the unintended consequences is they're more focused on data about how to treat you and what happens than you. And that makes us a distracted doctor.
Well, let's talk a little bit about healthcare on the federal level. You've already issued your kind of complaints that kind of got you into the legislative cycle. But, I mean, a lot of that stuff you can't handle at a state level because it's through the Affordable Care Act, et cetera, that it comes out from Washington, D.C., which is where you're kind of hoping to go with this Senate run. John Tester famously voted for the Affordable Care Act and helped push that through, along with our other senator at the time, Max Baucus. And I guess my question is, between the two of you, where do you see the role of the federal government in healthcare going forward? Where would you distinguish yourself, in other words, from John Tester's position?
You know, John, I think that the key thing that has got to happen is we need to reduce a lot of the regulations that are taking our attention away from the patient. I agree that there's a role for the federal government. The federal government has promised through Medicaid and Medicare that they're going to provide services, medical treatment to people that are can't afford it or have reached a certain age and have put into the system over several years or decades. So we just need to balance it. What we've got now is we've got a government-directed healthcare system that says, I'm the customer, and these are my clients. We've gone from personal health care where I, as a physician, sit in front of you and say, what's wrong with you? Instead, I'm saying you're just part of the herd, and now I have to do herd treatment, treat the whole herd. And you know what? That doesn't mean that the individual is going to get the best optimal treatment for them. And I think that's a frustration that people are seeing is, one, when they go to a doctor, they come away shorthanded.
So there's an extra step added not only in the way that you might communicate with your doctor, and I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to the technology as well, but on the other side of things, when you go to pay your doctor, the government stepping in, and of course insurance adds layer upon layer of distance between you and the price of what you're paying for. I've always thought that might be one of the main drivers of the increase in healthcare. What are your thoughts?
Well, it is. I mean, when I'm sitting in front of a patient who's paying their own bill, when they will ask me very good questions after I examine them and we talk about what are the possible issues that are going on with them and how we might find out more information, whether I get an MRI or get an X-ray or get a lab test. You know, for those people that actually have a high deductible, they may be saying to me, where am I going to get that test? What is it going to cost? Oh, you know, doc, my pain in my knee, because I'm an expert in taking care of people with complex injuries to the knee. They may say to me, boy, doc, for $2,000, my knee doesn't hurt that bad. We're going to hold off on that MRI. But when they're not paying the bill, they just, you know what, I want the MRI, I want the blood test, I want the X-ray, give it to me all, because you know what, I'm not paying the bill.
And the little umbrella too.
No umbrellas at my...
No umbrellas?
Not in my clinic, John. Sorry. No umbrellas.
All right. So when it comes to the Affordable Care Act, though, one of the big things that the legislature has to work through is a transition away. And basically right now it looks stalled in a kind of a dangerous hiatus where it's not fully functional the way that Democrats want it to be. It's not to where the Republicans, at least part of them, want it to go. And so it's kind of on a trajectory of death spiral. And one way or another, there's going to be change as soon as people get fed up enough with it. When that point occurs, if you happen to be in the Senate, where would you try to direct the course of the healthcare debate? And maybe for the understanding of those that are listening, maybe compare and contrast your views with what just happened, the recent attempt to change things.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and talk. What you're talking about is the American Health Care Act. It was it's a Republican plan that was put up by Speaker Ryan in Washington, D.C. Now, that act really was incomplete, but for a reason. Number one is the Affordable Care Act brought in a very complex set of regulations. It brought in payment mechanisms and a number of things that are just extremely complex. And in fact, it didn't happen only with the Affordable Care Act. There was a couple other major pieces of legislation, especially the Stimulus Act of 2008. That was a side, that brought in different stuff.
In fact, it was so complex that we can't even talk about it in this segment. I got to hit a commercial break, and we'll get back into the details after this break. All right, we'll be back in just a second. I'm going to try to check on the Facebook Live feed. If you have any questions, we'll try to get them asked and answered by Mr. Olszewski right after this quick break.
Sign in for savings now at Dave Smith. Our bases are loaded with over 1,000 new Chevys, GMCs, and Buicks. Receive a home run deal. Enter to win a new 2017 Chevy Silverado 1500. Find out why we have been the Northwest's largest GM dealer since 1994. 800-635-8000. DaveSmiths.com. Take advantage of exceptional Cadillac offers at Dave Smith Cadillac. Choose from a huge selection of new Cadillacs during the Spring's Best event. DaveSmithCadillac.com.
Mom, Dad, I'm bored. Well, Johnny, maybe it's because you've been playing Xbox for the last 3 days straight.
You need a little Maverick Motorsports brap.
Where do you go for adventure? Maverick Motorsports! Maverick Motorsports is your home for all your motorsports adventures. We have the largest selection of used bikes and ATVs, and we work on all makes and models. Don't waste your time buying tires online. We have the prices of what you're looking for right here. When it's time for adventure, stop by Maverick Motorsports at mavmotorsports.com, Facebook, or at 4950 North Reserve Street at the I-90 on-ramp.
Bringing fun for the whole family to downtown Hamilton is exactly what Main Street Toys is all about. A store dedicated to selling toys and games. It's the perfect place for you and your kids to have some fun. Take a drive down the beautiful Bitterroot Valley and check out Main Street Toys in Hamilton. Main Street Toys is an interactive toy store that features a giant chalkboard, giant light bright panel, and areas inside and out designed specifically for play. At Main Street Toys, there's really something for everyone. Unique toys for babies to adults, from puzzles to games, chutes and ladders to calico critters. Main Street Toys also has a gay gift area with a shocking pin that's sure to amuse. With sea animals and planets floating on the walls, kids are sure to feel as though their fantasies came true. Stop by and explore the growing and ever-changing selection of toys and games. Main Street Toys. Be silly, be honest, and be kind. Adjacent to Bitterroot Drug in the middle on the Main, Hamilton.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but as you grew up, things changed. Teaching just didn't seem like the best option anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Interesting and innovative things are happening in teaching today, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Immigrants, you may be feeling fearful about what the presidential election results mean for you and your family. Please do not be alarmed. Speak to a qualified immigration attorney to find out how you can prepare for any policy changes. Do not trust unqualified notarios who promise you papers. Make sure you get the advice from someone who knows the law, like a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. To find an immigration attorney near you, go to www.alalawyer.org.
All right, I got all boogie music here today. All right, we're back with Dr. Albert Olszewski. We were going through the American Health Care Act. He was kind of explaining some of the setup for it. And I think you were about to highlight, the stuff that was missing and your thoughts on the whole act together.
Sure. Once again, it's a, we had the American Health Care Act by itself is incomplete. It dealt only with the issues of what can be done financially. In fact, if you look at it, if it would have went through and passed, it would have been the largest tax break, or I should say reduction in taxes in the history of our country by removing all the individual mandates, the mandates on business, the tax on implant and pharmaceutical companies. And those needed to be dealt through a process called reconciliation. There needs also to be another bill that deals with, and goes through what we call regular order. That's the way that we go through the normal legislative process. And in the Senate, it would require 60 votes. And that had to be a separate bill, and that needed to be communicated. And I don't think it was communicated well enough, not only in D.C., but across the country.
So do you think you would have ended up going along with the American Health Care Act if you were in the Senate at the time?
The American Health Care Act, I think if they could have pointed out that this was an important process hooked to another legislation or a bill that would go through regular order, and then also point out and really sell the idea that we also have to quickly reduce regulations with Dr. Tom Price over at Health and Human Services.
All right, let's go ahead and get some questions. Danielle says, what would you do for the patient who clearly needs the MRI but chooses to not get it because they can't afford it?
Well, right now in my system, I am an independent physician. I have invested in my own clinic building. I have advanced diagnostic capabilities with X-ray and MRI, and I also have the ability to do outpatient surgery. So what happens is a situation, I have patients that come to me and they don't have the means. Then what we do is we still provide the service. I provide that service myself through my own facilities. We try to work out payment plans, and if we have to, we work through charity.
Danielle says, how do you feel about single-payer health care as a method for eliminating the increasing cost?
Well, the single-payer system sounds like it would be a good idea, but all we have to do is look to the United Kingdom and what's happened with them in the last 30, 40 years. Single-payer system, still prices rise, and you get three things that you can deal with. You can deal with quality of medicine, access to medicine, or the cost of medicine. And you can probably get two out of those three, ideally. So you can get high quality and access to it, but it's going to cost you money. If you want high quality and you want to have it at low pay, your access is going to be greatly limited. In fact, that's what I see right now today. When I deal with Medicaid as a physician and now as a legislator, my hands were tied as we were trying to work with balancing our budget here in Montana. We were forced to balance the budget on the poorest people, the elderly, and on the disabled, our blind. We were told to take away the canes and teaching of Braille to the blind at the beginning of the session. And while we were balancing the budget, our healthcare budget in Montana, on those people, the Medicaid expansion population, 72,000 people, they did not have to share in that sacrifice. They got a pass. Montana wrote an $84 million check for their health care, and nothing was touched.
So let me ask you, I like this quality access care. I'm going to call it the quack equilibrium. All right. So in the equilibrium of the quack, quality access and care, where do you think the stool is right now? Is one of the legs too long, too much focus on quality access or care, and one of them too short, not enough focus on quality access or care?
You know, what I see right now is this emphasis sort of diverted away from the three. It's the emphasis has been sidelined towards making sure everybody has insurance coverage. And so we've pushed a lot of people into one of the most broken systems we have, Medicaid. And saying, hey, look, we're doing a great job because now more people have health insurance. Problem is that is delayed insurance. In fact, I believe we're rationing health care on our old, our poor, and our disabled through rationing because we can't afford to pay for the providers.
All right. You got we're trying to work with the mics here. Thanks for the update, Max, on what you're hearing out there. Let's see here. We got another question. Danielle, she's eager to ask lots of questions today. What would you do for the patient who clearly needs... Oh, wait. We already did that. I'm sorry. One and done. We're going to go to another question. This one, I'm going to change topics a little bit, since we already kind of dealt with healthcare briefly, although it's one of those topics we could spend the whole show on. I wanted to get your thoughts on foreign policy a little bit. As a senator, you will be asked to maybe vote for engagements overseas, of which there are two hotspots right now, Syria and North Korea. What are your thoughts on at what point the U.S. should get engaged and these two crises, specifically start with Syria, where it's almost anybody's ball game right now with what could happen there? Again,
you're dealing with a very complex issue today, dealing with North Korea and dealing with Syria in the Middle East. I'm a veteran of the Air Force. I spent a decade being taught by our military to take care of the consequences of war, whether we deal with conventional war, biological, chemical, or nuclear war. And I greatly appreciate what it would take and what are the sacrifices that our military would have to make to promote United States policy in those areas. And force is legitimate, but it should definitely be something we use only when there's no other resort. Nothing else is left for us to work. So balancing diplomacy and the art of or the waging of war is something that I take very seriously, especially after spending over a decade of paying attention to what the consequences will be for each man and woman who goes and is the tip of our spear.
All right. We're going to go to a quick break. If you have a question, give us a call, 721-1290. Again, that's 721-1290. We'll be back with more questions and answers with Dr. Albert Olszewski running for U.S. Senate, likely against current Senator Jon Tester. We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you on your feet constantly for work, and achy, burning legs or varicose veins are affecting you? Well, these symptoms can be signs of vein disease that affect millions of men and women. Call Missoula Surgical Associates at 542-7525 for your free screening on May 13th. Teachers, hospitality workers, factory workers, moms, can you afford to put off achy legs any longer? Missoula Surgical offers quick in-office treatments with no downtime, and insurance covers treatment costs. For fast relief, schedule your free screening on May 13th at 542-7525.
Slide in for savings now at Dave Smith. Our bases are loaded with over 1,000 new Chevys, GMCs, and Buicks. Receive a home run deal. Enter to win a new 2017 Chevy Silverado 1500. Find out why we have been the Northwest's largest GM dealer since 1994. 800-635-8000. DaveSmiths.com. Take advantage of exceptional Cadillac offers at Dave Smith Cadillac. Choose from a huge selection of new Cadillacs during the spring's best event. DaveSmithCadillac.com.
After 39 years of serving Missoula, the Mustard Seed is asking for your support during Southgate Mall's expansion and construction. Sure, it might take you a few more steps to reach their door, but it's worth it. And inside, it's business as usual. Every day, the Mustard Seed creates fresh, flavorful dishes that are wok-fried or grilled when you order. With lean natural meats, crisp vegetables, and time-tested original sauces, all prepared fresh daily. Don't let Southgate Mall's construction fool you. It's business as usual at the Mustard Seed, and they appreciate your support.
Locally owned, Air Quality Mechanical is Western Montana's Daikin Comfort Pro. Experience what's new in heating and cooling systems. Daikin offers comfort for life with ductless, energy intelligent heating and cooling systems. So smart, they can even be controlled through an app when you're not home. Air Quality Mechanical offers financing and free estimates. Find out more about Daikin ductless systems at airqualitymechanical.com. Air Quality Mechanical, tough enough to drive pink.
All right, segueing back into the Talkback Show, we've got our lines almost full. So when we fill them up, we pretend to give you a Rockstar T-shirt. So be sure to put it on, because now that we're alive, the Theater of the Mind thing doesn't work so well with the Facebook Live people. We've got let's see, Mike, Bobby, and Marilyn. You wanted to wrap up though, real quick. You didn't feel like you got a full answer to the last question about foreign policy. Right. Well, thanks, John. I support President Trump on drawing the line and pointing out that chemical weapons is not going to be tolerated in any conflict around the world. And so, I fully support that. Same thing as we're dealing with issues
in Afghanistan, and is that we want to show that if you're going to play, use all the capabilities that you have available to you. And as we know today, we need to be able to work with diplomatic strategies as well as be able to show that we have a stick when it comes to North Korea, because it's really hot over there right now.
All right, let's go to calls. We got Bobby on the line. Bobby, thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to go back to health care. It's a real big deal. We used to always have health care in our families. We've always been covered with insurance. We always had to pay through work, but, that was with the premiums and the deductible, it was around $7,000 a year. Our care, as soon as Obamacare went in, it skyrocketed, and at the end of this year in December, our premiums went to $2,100 a month. Deductible was $10,000, which put us over $35,000 a year for our health care, and we simply can't afford it. So the people who say that with Obamacare, they're all being covered, and woe's me, they're going to lose their coverage. But I know lots of people, and including Democrats, we've all lost our coverage, and we're being penalized because of it. So I want to know your answer on that. And the mandates are one of the things that are causing the high premiums. And are we going to be able to buy insurance across state lines to lower the cost? Those are my questions. I'll take your answer offline. Thank you.
Wow, Bobby. There's a couple questions there. Let's go with that last one. Number 2, buying insurance across state lines. The larger the pool of people, and the larger that we can spread the risk. So I think it's very important. And as we see, I think that's one of the promises that was made by our current president, President Trump, is to do so. I know that we're working with the insurance commissioner here, Matt Rosendale, as well as the healthcare working group at the legislature this session, it is that we were working on ways to make that happen. But like I found out as being in the exam room and having regulations tying my hands, we're finding that happens at the state too. If you accept money, you have to take the strings, or what I would look at as a rope around our neck sometimes. Now going to the idea of looking at I'm speechless when it comes to the price of our premiums. We are now paying an arm and a leg for a catastrophic health care so that people can have essential benefits. And I understand essential benefits, and I think that they're worthy, but we have to be able to balance that. And unfortunately, what's happening is we're no longer buying an insurance policy that covers us for catastrophic issues or the risk of being injured or developing a disease. We're buying a health maintenance product. It's like going to the gym where as soon as you walk in the door, everything's paid for, except for copays and except for your deductible. But that's the goal, is that everything you walk in, you can get it. There's no way that you can buy a home insurance if everything's paid for through your insurance, or car insurance if everything's paid for insurance. We need to get back to the concept of what insurance is and get back to more of a free market philosophy.
All right, let's go to another caller. Marilyn, you're on the air.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Al. I've been following you in the legislature quite a bit, and a friend of mine and I checked into some of your scores with some groups, and you're a pretty conservative guy. And I think that is
what groups did you check out?
Oh, I've been running around trying to find that pice of paper this morning, and I haven't put my hands on it. But
sorry to put you on the spot. All
yeah,
right. So various groups.
Yeah, various groups. So, anyways, I think that is one of our problems. One of our main problems is the conservative constitutional people really get a bad rap. They get called hardliners and right-wing extremists and stuff. And John Tester, I mean, he went along with everything that Obama wanted. He would have voted for Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, the socialist. So, and these were anti-American people. And so, anyways, I want to know if when you would get back to Congress, would you... I don't want you to become a rhino, which is a Republican in name only. I think they are part of the problem, along with the Democrats.
What would he do to become a rhino? What's the magical incantation?
Well, that's caving and not fighting the Democrats and all their liberal policies, their regulations, and I mean, Obama, the way he put in health care, he put it in so that it hardly can be taken apart and done away with. I mean, there's, I guess you could say, smart in taking over the country and taking over, they're experts in making government huge, and that's part of the problem. They're dangerous, and so...
Well, let him answer right before we go to our break, okay?
Yeah.
Well, once again, I'm honored that you'd follow me. It is important to make good decisions and also be strong in making decisions that are uncomfortable. And you're right. What I hear as I travel the state is what you've said is, look, we don't want you to campaign and say you're going to do one thing and then get to Washington, D.C. and do something else. Just be honest with us. If you're going to do X, do X. If you're going to do Y, do Y, and let us vote on your principles. And the way I see it is either there are people who go there to become somebody and get a title, and there's people that go there to do good things. I got a great title as a physician. I love my job as a surgeon. I'm doing this as a service, and if I make uncomfortable decisions and people don't like it, I get to come home and be a simple country doctor.
Well, now I get to ask my uncomfortable question, which I like to ask about candidates when they're running early on in the cycle, which is deeper into the cycle, when things get really political and the haze out there, or after the election, when you're busy going back and forth to Washington, D.C. if you happen to win, it's a lot harder oftentimes for Montana media to make contact with our representatives. In the past we've had, different stories. One highlight for me has been the relationship we had with Zinke before he became Interior Secretary. He would come on pretty regularly and take calls like you're taking today from the public. I thought that was very admirable of him. I'd like to hear from him again, but I haven't heard from him since he got the job offer there. But I was just hoping that I might be able to offer that platform to you. If you do become the U.S. Senator, would you promise to speak with the public on Talkback every once in a while, maybe once every quarter?
John, I think that'd be great, and I hope that you'll extend that invitation with me as a state senator for as long as I can do this. This is, again, my whole life has been spent looking people directly eye to eye in the exam room, in the operating room, on the athletic field, and talking to them about reassuring them that they're okay, or telling them the bad news that maybe things need to be better, and we have to go through some kind of surgical procedure, medical procedure. Same thing here. I have to look people in the eye. And
does it feel like you're in an exam room right now? Is that kind of?
Let's not go there. All right.
All right.
Let's not go there. But we have a chaperone, which is even better.
I'm going to hit your knee real quick, okay?
Indeed.
Just to see how it feels. All right, we're going to go back to a quick break. When we get back, we have Mike and Dave in the queue. We'll talk to you shortly.
Sure as the yearly return of the Canada Goose, the changing seasons signal the beginning of the spring tire sale at Les Schwab Tires. It's a time of rebirth, excitement, and a heck of a great deal on select tires for just about anything you'd be driving this spring. So if you think you might need new tires, stop on in. We'll come running, and if that seems overly excited, well, that's just who we are, spring or not. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters.
Are you ready for Missoula's first ever Knockerball soccer tournament?
It's the most fun game you and your friends have ever played.
Knockerball is a single-chamber inflatable sphere with inner handles and adjustable shoulder straps, and then you can go around the field and knock your friends.
You get knocked over, you knock your friends over, nobody gets hurt.
And it's all for a good cause for Christmas for Kids.
Get your team signed up right now on this station's website. Just search Knockerball.
Thank you to Bob Wards and Bud Light, and we'll see you for Missoula's first ever Knockerball soccer tournament.
Saturday, May 6th at Rollin Field in Missoula.
Eliminate or reduce your bottled water costs and increase your storage space with a bottle-free water cooler. You can enjoy great tasting, continuous drinking water, hot and cold. No more heavy bottles to lift or missed water deliveries. Culligan takes care of yearly maintenance, too. Call Culligan at 721-1991 to see how affordable it is and if a bottle-free solution works for your home or office. Better water, pure and simple.
Life's a little different at the ranch. From our pristine link-style course, superb restaurant to lounging by the pool, the Ranch Club is Montana's most affordable golf club. Now, for a limited time, junior family memberships for those 29 and under are only $210 a month, and for those 30 to 34 memberships are only $265 per month. Full family, senior, and social memberships are also available, and all memberships have no initiation fee.
Call 532-1000 or visit theranchclub.com for more information. The Ranch Club. Welcome to the ranch.
All right, that's the way we like it here on Talk Back. We've got folks live and in studio chatting with the public. And let's see. Let's go to Mike first. Mike, you're on the air.
Yeah, Doc, this is, I've got to ask you a question. Do you know Dr. Bill Bowen up there in Kalispell?
You know, Mike, I do know the esteemed.
Okay. All right. I guess he's esteemed, all right. Is he backing you on this for Senate is what I'm curious about.
You know, Mike, I think it's best not to talk about where people stand unless they officially give me an endorsement.
Let me phrase it a different way. Since you say you're running for office now, don't be ashamed to say you're running for office. Talk to Bill and see tell him to give me a call if he approves of you, because we can get you. I mean, I can get you a lot of votes. I don't know what he's going to do about it. But I can actually I talk to a lot of people. I have one of the biggest mouths in the state on the back door.
I can affirm that Mike has one of the biggest mouths in the state. That's actually.
You already got my vote. Anyone run against Esther, I'll vote for. I convince him of what's going on. And tell him to give me a call. I would really love to back you, and I talk to everybody. I don't make a difference who it is.
All right, Mike, thanks for your call.
I really want to hear what you're going. You're running for office. Don't be afraid to say I'm running for office. And I don't know what Bill's doing or not, but have him give me a call. Or I should call him Doc, by the way. I guess we prefer doing this all the time.
Well, thanks, Mike. You're making me blush.
Okay, I'm going to take another call, Mike. Thanks for your call. All right, Dave is on the air. Dave, you're up.
Yeah, good morning. About balanced budget and tax cuts. Now, we're running a $500 billion deficit this year, and the president wants to cut taxes, and he says that this resulting stimulus will balance the budget, which would be the first time in history that it happened. Now, which side are you on? Are you going to side with tax cutting to try to balance the budget, where many experts say that'll blow the budget to pieces, or would you rather try to cut programs and maybe raise taxes to balance the budget, which has worked in the past?
You know, Dave, I'm straight from the book here, the Montana Constitution Legislature. I believe in a balanced budget, and we're going to have to find a way to make sure that if we have reductions, we're going to have to find revenue streams somewhere else to meet the budget, or we're going to have to cut the programs that we have. I mean, quite honestly, whether it's at the state or it's at the federal government, we've made a lot of promises that we're not covering well. I mean, I call it over-promising and under-delivering. And what we see from the blueprint that President Trump puts out, I have great interest in it. I'm not committing behind it yet. I got to see the details, because again, probably one of the biggest risks that we have right now is our accelerating national debt, and the fact that it's intergenerational theft on our young. We're promising them a few things, and we're going to leave them with the bill when we die, and that's just patently unfair.
All right, thanks for your call, Mike. Pete, you're up.
Good morning.
Yeah, how's it going, Pete?
Good. The reason I wanted to call in is Senator Chester, I think, legitimately tries to pay attention to the Veterans Administration. He sits on that committee. But he's really been inept at helping us veterans, other than throwing taxpayers' money at the programs that aren't working to begin with and wondering why they don't improve when you give them more money. And you being a physician know how health care is and should be provided, and maybe you can have a way of addressing that huge bureaucratic mess that they've got going on here.
Well, thank you, Dave.
That was Pete. Thanks for your call, Pete.
Well, Pete, thank you. I'll tell you, that's my hope. My hope is that I have a unique skill set that I'm bringing to the table here. I'm a physician. I am a veteran, and I have worked at the Audie Murphy VA system down in San Antonio, Texas, for my training, and it really is. It requires a cultural change and what we're doing in the VA system to work. You just can't throw money at it. That won't work. And I'm hoping that as a legislator, someone who is a policy guy that has appropriations experience, someone who has provided the health care and has seen the difficulties in working at the level of the state government, that I can help influence the decision and bring about a fundamental change or reform to our healthcare system for the 21st century.
All right. Let's see. Got it. I know. Let's see. What do you think of legalizing and taxing marijuana nationally? That was a question from Daryl.
Well, Daryl, I have voted against any recreational vote on marijuana. It's a class 1 narcotic. It's illegal across the country. That would have to change. Number 2.
Would you vote to change it?
Would I vote to change it? I would need to see some actual data that it would be something that would not harm or hurt the health, welfare, and safety of our country. And I need to see that. Until then, I'm afraid that you're just going to have to put me down as a no vote for recreational marijuana.
All right. Let's try to get Emmett in. Emmett, you're up. Try to go quick, though, okay?
All right. Yes. Well, thanks for taking my call. I agree, however, that we should cut the budget. It's $20 trillion. I think we can do it without cutting programs and raising taxes. Just cut the waste and the ridiculous pork barrel projects out of the federal budget. Bill Clinton cut programs and raised income taxes, and it hurt a lot of people. I almost lost my Social Security. And, you know, there was someone running for Congress who wanted to cut spending and raise taxes, and he was blown out of the water. No one wanted to vote for him, so why would you want to cut programs and raise taxes? It's so unpopular with the American people and could hurt a lot of people. So
are you referring
I'll
to
let you
Walter
go.
Mondale, or who are you referring to there?
You know, I can't remember his name. It was a minor candidate years and years ago. He only received 5% of the vote and had to drop out.
All right. Thanks for your call, Emmett. Response real quick?
Boy, Emmett, you know, again, it's just like running your own family household or running your own small business. You've got to make your revenues and your budget have to match. And if they don't, you're going to go into a deficit, and pretty soon you're going to go bankrupt. And that's a problem. And the further we go, the harder it is to fix. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to see this, to watch our country and our economy collapse because of the weight of the interest.
All right, we got to go to a break. When we get back, we'll try to get some more live comments and, of course, calls if you want to. 721-1290. We're speaking today with Dr. Albert Olszewski. He is running for U.S. Senate, trying to take the seat currently held by John Tester. Of course, Olszewski's on the other side of the aisle, Republican, we would assume. And yes?
Yes, of
okay,
course.
I guess we never talked about it, so I just should make sure. All right, we'll be back after a quick break.
After 39 years of serving Missoula, the Mustard Seed is asking for your support during Southgate Mall's expansion and construction. Sure, it might take you a few more steps to reach their door, but it's worth it. And inside, it's business as usual. Every day, the Mustard Seed creates fresh, flavorful dishes that are wok-fried or grilled when you order. With lean, natural meats, crisp vegetables, and time-tested original sauces, all prepared fresh daily. Don't let Southgate Mall's construction fool you. It's business as usual at the Mustard Seed, and they appreciate your support.
The Claim Jumper Casino. Place to go for good food and fun.
If you haven't stopped in at the Claim Jumper Casino lately, then you're missing out on the best players specials in town. Enjoy comp drinks. Ask your server about the Players Club and the Gamblers menu. The Claim Jumper also has a full lounge with lots of flat screen TVs, so you won't miss any sports action. The Claim Jumper Casino on Brook Street across from Southgate Mall.
The Claim Jumper Casino. A place to go for good food and fun.
All right, tying on my boogie shoes here for one last segment with Dr. Olszewski. We have, I think I've pronounced your name like 5 different ways during the show. Sorry about that. I guess this is Montana, so you'll probably get used to that.
John, it's John. Thanks. It is Olszewski, and there's quite a few of us around Montana. We homesteaded up on the High Line north of Harlem in Hoagland, Montana. My cousin Gary runs the farm up there right now, and on the maternal side, my family, the Kohler side, is farming in Rainsford, Montana.
And Olszewski means what? It's Polish, right?
It is. It's Polish. That's a tricky question to give to me, but Olszewski means strong oak or alder tree, and ski is from the town of.
Oh, okay. You're the strong alder tree from the town of, or you're from the town of?
From the town of the strong oak tree.
There you go. All right, got it. Which actually is what, Kalispell?
It currently is Kalispell. I'm a Great Falls boy, born and raised there.
Okay.
And after I left and spent a decade in the Air Force, traveling around and becoming an honorary Texan, I had the opportunity to come back up to the Kalispell area. What a gorgeous area to be in.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there, even when it's cloudy. Hey, we do have some questions. Now, apologies for those who are doing the Facebook Live. It is one of our first times doing this. And we've had so many posts that old posts scroll out when we're doing live. I don't know why. And I can't read them. But I will refer back to one from my memory what I was able to read. So Ellie Hill, representative from the Missoula area, had posted some concerns that you were actually here in studio when the Senate was going on today. Even though many people thought the legislative session would be over by now, it is still ongoing. And maybe you could just explain why you're here and not there.
Good question, Ellie. Hey, it's because, once again, us in the Senate are waiting for you in the House to finish up. You know, I've gotten permission from my President Pro Tem to go out and speak the message about what's going on in the legislature. If there's any issues, if you can possibly pass bonding, or we need to work on any other important legislation, I can be there in an hour and a half. And the President Pro Tem said that he'll hold and wait for everybody to show back up.
So if you're watching on Facebook Live, I do have your phone is right here, right? And you've been monitoring it just in case you get a call and have to rush back to the legislature to do some final signing, right? Or voting, I should say.
That is correct. You know, again, I'm paying attention to what's going on in the House. I see that the bonding bill, again, went down on its last vote with only 64 votes in favor. And I'm still waiting to hear of what's happening on the Senate floor. Currently they're in recess.
Gotcha. So real quick, your expectations, if you get to the U.S. Senate, how do you think it will be different from your experience as a Montana legislature? I mean, we all kind of watch both from a distance, but you've actually experienced what it's like to be on the session, this particular session. Do you think you've learned any lessons, will apply any different techniques when you're in the U.S. Senate if you make it there?
Yeah, I think once again is that as you're dealing in the legislature, I think it's really important to understand that when you give a handshake, you better follow it. But I think someone once said that you should always, trust your neighbor, but check the brand. And what I appreciate by that is when someone promises that they're going to work on a deal or work on a compromise, wait till you see it in paper. Because there are some things that I've said that I would support, and when it came to the floor, once I actually got to read it, it was completely different than what was promised. And again, always check the brand.
Always check the brand. All right, we have just about 2 minutes left in the show. Why don't you give us a quick wrap-up speech? If there was a topic you didn't get to cover, you really want people to know where you stand on, or some values you want to espouse, kind of where you sit on the spectrum of things that people need to know. Feel free to lay it out.
Boy, I guess, John, that's an awfully gracious offer to just open it up like this. Once again, I love my job as a physician, as a surgeon, and I love our state, and I was happy to be able to come back after a decade in the Air Force to spend the last 20 years here in part of in beautiful Big Sky country. Why leave? Why do that? Again, because I see that there's a need that I have a unique skill set for, and I hope that I can provide a positive influence on where healthcare is going to go. I do not want to see my children have to be treated similar to what we see in Europe or in Canada, where they have to wait in line. They're able to get in, but they have no resources, or they have to wait 2, 3, 4 years for something to help make them better or well. And for that reason, and I want people to understand and get back to that doctor-patient relationship. I want it to be about me and you in the room talking about what we can do for you, and have you make the decision. Not say this is what we could do, but let's ask Big Brother for permission to move forward. I want to take those same skills and that same common sense, and we're going to deal with all the other issues where we see excessive regulation interfering with the way we do our daily lives.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I got to go. 8 seconds left. So we'll see you next Monday with Peter Christian back in studio. Thanks for joining us.
It's a Hornitos holiday at Lucky Diamond Casino and Liquor Store. Hornitos Black Barrel, Hornitos Añejo, Hornitos Silver, and Hornitos Reposado. And register to win a liquor basket or the Hornitos Gas Fire Pit. Lucky Diamond Casino and Liquor Store at the corner of Brooks and South Reserve, Missoula.